finance leader allowed you to see something. Anything come to mind when we ask for a finance strategic moment?
Let me go back to what I was talking about earlier about BI and the importance of, in finance, taking that data that we are working with all the time and really delivering something to our team. So let me go back in time. This has got to be about 6 or 7 years ago now. It's well before our BI team was where it was. The finance team was much smaller. And my right hand, my head of FP&A, he and I were looking at our sales data. So our sales team was trying to figure out how to segment their clients, at the financial advisors they work with. And we had a fairly traditional, well, you have some large ones and some small ones. And we started looking at the data of our financial advisors. Well, at the time, maybe it was about 5,000. The company was a bit smaller back then. Finance team was smaller. And we realized that we could take the buckets that we already had, and based on not just the size meaning the assets that the advisor is managing, but also the production, which is kind of like the annual sales of that advisor. And then you also say, when is that production happening? Is it happening like in lumps or regularly? And we started bifurcating our client base from those, say, 2 or 3 buckets we had to maybe, let's call it 9 or 12 buckets. And we started thinking about, all right, this bucket, they're small, but they've grown a lot in the past 6 months, but they've stopped. Like, what's a good name for that one? Like, what was that guy? That guy is small. He liked us for a little bit, really excited, but stopped. And here's a large one that we all consider large. They haven't done anything like in a year and a half. They've just been sitting on the large. What do you call that one? And here's a medium-sized one that is like a rocket. This guy was nothing about a year and a half ago. Why is this guy a rocket? And so it was that analysis when we sat down with the sales team, when we put this up, and I got to give all the credit to my FP&A guy because he did all the hard work on this. But when we as finance sat down with the sales team and said, this is how we were looking at your data. And they were like, wow. And they wound up changing how they went to market, how they marketed to their advisors, how they segmented them in our Salesforce application, how they thought about how often am I call this one versus how often am I going to call that one. It was a really exciting moment for me and my finance team, because we sat back and like a few months later, we started seeing documents about how they're going to attack certain segments of their clients, and they were using the actual words we put in front of them, like rocket or whatnot. And we're like, that's really gratifying. And that was amazing. And so, again, that was 6, 7 years ago. The company's grown a lot then, but part of that growth is, if we keep doing more of that, and there are more examples of that, but we keep doing more of that, whether it's FP&A or the BI team, or even our communications team, there's different groups that we have in finance who can all look at the business in a way that I don't think, the front end folks kind of had the time to, right? You're on sales, you're out there killing it every day. You're calling people, 30 people a day. You're not sitting there, musing about, the predictive data of the type of client you have. And that's where we can come in. And because we both have the skills looking at data, that's what we do all day long. But if you can marry that with the understanding of the business, which is what we had, that example I was saying to you, it was really exciting, Jack. And it really, I think, changed how my argument for the AssetMark of where we need to invest in terms of data analytics.